This graveyard smash will catch on in a flash. It's River Spirit Casino Resort's Monster Cash Bash. There's no trick, just 5 Monster Cash giveaways in October. A thrilling, chilling, $20,000 drawing every Saturday at 11 p.m. with giveaways totaling $100,000. It's going to be a scream. So play for your chance to win big and do the Monster Cash Bash only at River Spirit Casino Resort.
Game, we'll say week 8 of Off the Record. And we missed last week. It was okay. It was a bye week. And the good-looking guy is not here. John Moss, obviously, is our host. But I'm Austin Chadwick. I'm going to fill in today for him and then 2 people we know pretty well, the lovely Kelly Hines and Tulsa great Tarrion Adams. What's up, guys?
It's raining outside.
It's raining outside. You feel like just
Maybe
you
time
remember
for a
these
nap.
days. Like I don't know if I want to go to class, and I'm just going to take a nap this afternoon.
A good long nap. Go fall in the puddle later on at practice.
Yes,
It's a day.
absolutely.
Great day.
Tulsa comes off a win against South Florida, a good road win, a game they had to come back in. Kelly, you were there. Just some thoughts of the game. It was kind of a little apropos to last year, right, or a little reminiscent of last year, and coming back and kind of flipping a switch. But when they got right, they played well, and they defense played well. Offense scored enough points to go win.
This is just a team that makes things interesting. Like, let's just see how dramatic this could possibly get. That was a pretty wild conclusion. But, some really good moments from it. And you take the win and you move on.
Yeah, and Tarrion, you've been a part of many of these things. Conference games on the road, it don't matter. Just go get a W and get back on the plane and get home.
Of course, we like it to look good. We all want it to be beautiful on paper and film. However, a W's a W. We come back with a W. That's it. We'll take it every time.
Okay, so 3 and 4. You go into the bye week. They needed to heal up pretty good. I think Monty was pretty encouraged by the fact that they got some time. Plus, it gives you, if you're ever going to have a bye week every year, you want it before the Navy game, right? So you can install what you want to install defensively. You can work on your fits. You can do all that stuff. So Tulsa kind of getting lucky in that sense. The UC Davis, you can't look back. You got to look forward. But 3 and 4, they could easily be 4 and 3. And honestly, they could have won a couple more games. But, Kelly, they've got a stretch here of 5 games. You're going to play 2 really good teams, obviously, in Cincinnati, not looking ahead to next week, and then SMU at the end of the year. So you got probably 2 more ranked teams on the schedule, but you also got 3 games that you're probably going to be favored in. Tulsa's an 11-point favorite on Friday night against Navy, and those are games you can win, and, bowl eligible is there. It's there.
It's definitely there. I mean, you got to take care of your business, and it's really not going to be easy, and Navy is as unpredictable as Tulsa. And obviously we know that Navy is difficult to defend, but they're doing things differently on defense. They're just they're a tough team to prepare for, even with an extra week. So I think that this is such a big game, because if you lose this one, you're really going to have a hard time finding 3 wins the rest of the way.
That's right.
So it's a home game. This is a team that Tulsa has struggled with in the past, but did really well against last season.
Mm-hmm.
This Tulsa defense is a little bit different, and still has some guys banged up who won't play. So, I think it helped to have the open date last week. You're getting more guys back. You still are not going to be 100%.
No, and Tarrion, when you look at this overall, you as a player, we never saw it as like must-win situations. I think for Monty as a coach, this is a game he's got to go win. He sees what the schedule looks like, and he knows where the expectations were going into this year. And, from that standpoint, you've got to go in, put the time and effort in. I did hear him give an interview on radio last week saying the one thing you want to hear a coach say preparing for Navy, we got to be physical in practice, because you can't just go turn that on when you're 14 points down in the second quarter to these guys. So, from that standpoint, do you think they can get prepared enough? Do you think they can, they can actually come out and play how they can play, what they're capable of on Friday?
Definitely. I think they're definitely capable. This is kind of what you said. This is a team that's a lot different than any other college or university.
Right.
When we play the Armies, the Navies, the Air Forces, you're dealing with grown men. You're dealing with grown men with families. Their priorities are way different. They don't have a lot of the same distractions that the average college student has. They're a lot more focused, and it's a grown man body, so you have to be physical. Where they may lack athleticism, they're definitely they don't make any mistakes.
Yep.
They're very, very detailed. They're very focused. You know, it's hard to break their focus.
Right.
So those are the things that we have to win. We have to win being focused. We can't have a lot of penalties. We can't have a lot of mental mistakes.
Right.
We have to, as long as we play good football and we minimize all mistakes, we'll be just fine.
You know, Kelly, when you look at this Tulsa team, we've seen, you know, listen, they're likely to play bad enough to lose every game from here on out. But they're also likely to play good enough to win every game from here on out. So, I mean, and it's wild. I mean, it's just wild. And so when you look at it, you know, and I think fans, I mean, you want some more consistency with what you're going to bring every single week. But at the same time, the ceiling is through the roof as far as when these guys are playing right, when they're in positions to make plays, when coaches got them set up doing that. And you look at this Navy team, you know, it's a team they were reeling a little bit. They got a couple of guys healthy. They played Cincinnati extremely well last week. And so that gets your attention real quick. Don't look at the record because these guys can go play with anybody. You know, but overall, when you're seeing the team during the bye week last week and preparing for this week, the offensive line seemed to play a little bit better, obviously, against South Florida. There might be a few things on scout team that they're doing to maybe get those guys geared up and going. And so from that standpoint, how do you think the O-line's going to play? How do you think, you know, Tulsa will transition into Friday?
I think the O-line played a lot better. You know, they've moved some guys around. They're trying different things, and I think it's working. But you know, I think still, you know, cutting down on some of the penalties. You know, that's going to be really important in this game. But you know, the protection I thought was pretty good last week. So or 2 weeks ago.
Comparably speaking,
yeah,
to how it's been.
comparably. Yes.
Yeah, because against Houston, I don't think Davis didn't have more than 2 or 3 seconds to do anything.
Oh yeah, no, and that was very painful to watch and a very painful physical experience for him. But I think that it's trending in the right direction. And you know what, you know, Shamari's able to do, and you know, if you know, depending on the health of all of the running backs, you know, several really good options there. And I think the offensive line will continue to improve, and I think we'll continue to see the run game have some success. And you know, I think it's going to be super important to not have turnovers in this game. I mean, you're going to have fewer possessions. You're just, you know, Navy's going to want to grind this thing out, and Tulsa cannot give the ball away and you know, they've got to at least like be somewhat close to even on the time of possession. It probably won't be that way, but you need to at least, you know, or just score really fast. That would work
fast,
too.
yeah, that's fine.
You can't have interceptions in this game. You just really can't.
No, you can't make mistakes against this team, Tarrion. Kickoffs at 6:30 on Friday night at Chapman Stadium, and game might be over at 9, depending on how Navy plays. She mentioned the running backs. That was kind of your deal, and Tulsa, in Monty's era, he loves to run it. He really does. And if he's running it, he'll run a lot. And you got to have 2 or 3 guys that you can go give carries to, because we saw it during some massive successful years in 2016. You know, you look up and James Flanders has ran the ball 30 times. And then, you know, D'Angelo had ran it 20 times. So that you'll load up the carries. But I want to give some credit to Shamari Brooks. This kid, man, he's a local guy. You were an Oklahoma guy. And Shamari is you know, he had the ACL injury last year. He's bounced back. It doesn't look like he's lost that explosiveness, because that's what made him pretty good. Is that the guy? He's quick and he can explode pretty quick. You know, he might not be able to outrun a bunch of defensive backs, but he's extremely serviceable, tough. And then at the same time, Deneric, some of the other new guys that have come in, they've got a good mix and I think a good room if they can keep it healthy, right?
Definitely. It goes back to what she was saying. If we come out and the O-line is firing off the ball, hitting people in the mouth, creating run lanes, and we can establish the run, I think we jump on them early. And if we jump on them early, I think that just it helps us, and I think that issues us a win, honestly. They don't have the offense that they can air it out.
Right.
So once we start making them do things that are not characteristic of what they like to do, again, that goes well in our favor. Going back to Shamari, I want to see them feed the beast. Like, let him run the ball, turn him loose. I want to see him pass me on this all-time record list, this career list. I want to see him beat out Brewer as well. Like, I want to see him do great. So turn them loose, let them run. Deneric, I love the way Deneric runs, and it's a great 1-2 punch. So as long as the O-line wins the trenches, that opens up the rest of the offense and the playbook.
We're hanging out here at River Spirit Casino and Margaritaville, where we typically are every time we do this thing. And so real quick, keys to the game. We'll talk about that and then talk about a little bit of this line here, who we're going to take. But, Kelly, when you look, we've talked about being consistent, not shooting yourself in the foot. But if you got to pick like one key, Tulsa can do this, they're not going to have a problem winning this game.
Oh, man. Gosh, so many
you
things.
You can stay cliche if you need to.
I think just execute and be really disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make mistakes. Don't have the penalties. Just go out there and be the better team. Like, this is something that this team has somewhat struggled with.
No doubt.
And, I think the penalties have gotten a little bit better. Still a lot of penalties. But, I think that they're working on that. You can't shoot yourself in the foot in a game like this. You just can't. I mean, this is going to be a tough game anyway. You just got to just be the better team.
Tarrion?
As long as we come out, we play to our potential. We don't play to the level of our competition, and we minimize mistakes. We play Tulsa football, we win.
That's pretty easy said. I'm going to say turnover. If we're winning the turnover battle, or we don't upend that thing where we've turned the ball over 3 or 4 times to 1 or 2 for them, I don't think Tulsa's going to have a problem with this. Also, special teams. You got to cover kicks, and you got to figure out a way to do it. Take a little bit of pride in it. This is special teams it's part of your culture and DNA. And so if it's wrong, it's not a quick fix. However, there's a few things you can do to get guys in the right spots. There's a few things you can do to kind of maybe turn over some of the teams and get different guys in there. And at that point, I mean, when you look at this defense overall, the defense has played relatively well. A lot of the points we've given up have been in the kicking game, where the defense has played well. So we know it's there. Joe Gillespie has now had a couple of years where he's prepared for Navy. He did fantastic last year. Of course, you had number 23 back there that was able to fill some gaps, and Zaven.
Right.
But I think that they come out with a good plan. Now, Tulsa, an 11-point favorite, and this is what I was thinking. This is back in my previous life of looking at lines and doing all this stuff. If Tulsa would have been like a 3 or a 4-point favorite, I would have been nervous. And here's why. The whole country saw what Navy did last week against Cincinnati. And now all of a sudden, if you're Joe Schmo in, Idaho, and you're a regular gambler, and you look at it and say, wait a minute, Navy, you're going to give Navy 11 points against Tulsa? I'm in. I'm taking Navy. And so to me, I think there might be a little bit of a line skew if the public goes way in on Navy. Vegas knows something. I don't know what they know and how they know it. But typically situations like this, Vegas will make out like bandits, and if 70% of the public takes one team or another. And so don't be surprised, and that's why I'm going to go with the pick and go to my old bookie days and say, hey, if I'm going to have to pick on a game like this, I see that line at 11, I'm taking Tulsa. Let's go. And maybe Tulsa gets a 2-touchdown, 3-touchdown win out of this thing. That's what I'm doing. But, the safe bet might be just to say, wait, Tulsa hasn't beat anybody by more than a touchdown in 2 years.
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a close game. And I think, we don't talk a whole lot about Zach Long, but Zach Long hasn't missed a field goal. I'm sure I'm jinxing everything right now.
Oh, my gosh.
But that's a huge asset for Tulsa to have that consistency.
I am going to have this link, queued up and ready for Zach to miss a field goal.
He's not going to miss a field goal.
And I'm going to tweet it to Kelly and be like, that's you. That's on you.
I mean, I think that's pretty remarkable what he's been able to do just by putting the work in.
Isn't that wild? If Zach, or if the field goal kicking game, if we had this field goal kicking game 2 years ago when we went 4-8,
won some more games.
We're going to bowl game, because we're literally missing last-second chip shots to beat Memphis and to beat some of these teams. So, Tarrion, that's one of those. Yeah, I mean, you know how this goes. It's far-fetched to think Tulsa's going to win by double digits.
The way that we've played this year, it is far-fetched. I'm going to say that we're coming off a bye week. We're going to be gap responsible on defense. We're going to execute on offense. We're going to jump on them early, and that's how we maintain the 11-point victory.
By the way, I got to give you some credit. I did radio for many years with Paul Smith. And when Dane was approaching Paul's record, he was very well aware of it, obviously. And Paul, of course, winningest quarterback we've had, this guy was phenomenal. But he had to really think hard about this. Like, am I okay with this? But you're like, man, D'Angelo, great job. Shamari, you got like 700 or 800 yards in 5 games. Can you go get to a record? And this is your old record. When you were done at Tulsa, nobody had run for more yards than you. You've taken a lot better than Paul does. That's all. I'm just going to say that. Paul's my guy.
This is the only way I will say it. I will never say it again. But for me, only for me, if you break 1 record or you break 2 records, that's great. That's awesome. I think it's amazing.
But records.
But if you come and break all of them in your tenure, then
we got problems.
Then I feel some kind of way.
We got some problems. Well, Kelly, we appreciate it. We know you'll be there Friday night. And all your coverage in the Tulsa world. You'll have some good pregame stuff on Friday, and then you'll actually be able to write your post story, hopefully, before 11 o'clock on Friday night.
Talk about jinxing things.
I'm jinxing for you?
Yeah.
Go to 4 overtimes?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we look forward to your stuff in the Tulsa world. Tarrion, as always, thank you so much. John will be back next week. We'll be prepping a big game next week, so hopefully Tulsa can get this win, get to 4-4. With 4 games left, and you got a bowl game in your sights. And so, with that being said, Austin Chadwick.
Really quick, I'm sorry. One quick thing.
Oh, we gotta talk about your deal.
Free haunted house this weekend, Saturday. Next Level Athletics, 9525 East 51st Street, Suite H. Come on out, bring all your kids. Free haunted house. It's going to be a grand time Saturday night.
Saturday night. Now that's you're saying on 91st, right?
Oh, no, East 51st.
51st, and so that's, you can check that out, obviously, and all the stuff that you're doing, obviously, with doing all the sports performance stuff. I mean, you got some great things going on. You still look like you can play.
I definitely can. It's the Happy Healthy Nutrition. Got to plug Happy Healthy Nutrition. Come out, get yourself a shake, get yourself an energy tea. You'll never miss a beat.
Awesome. Tarrion, thank you so much. And that'll do it for us here at River Spirit Casino. Austin Chadwick, Kelly Hines, Tarrion Adams. We'll see you next week on Off the Record.